Governor Godwin Obaseki, thank you very much for joining us this early morning. So let me ask you, Governor, you were invited by the World Bank to talk to, the people that have gathered about the smart education policy and how it is going so far. So tell me, what did you tell them briefly about EdoBEST, as it is called?
Thank you very much, Peter. We had the privilege of joining other global leaders, ministers of finance and ministers of education, to sit at the table convened by the World Bank to talk about how to finance education on scale, particularly since post-COVID. For us in Edo State, in Nigeria, we just have come to realize that education is the key catalyst to the transformation that Africa requires and Africa needs. And that part of, one of the key challenges that has held us back is our failure to impact quality learning, quality education on the mass of our people. So it's not enough to have a few good schools here and there and a few individuals who have the opportunity and privilege to come to America. It's how do we ensure that the 10 million children that are out of school are in school, and not just being in school, but they are learning while they're in school. So that was the key motivation for us in Edo. We had a challenge when I got into office. The school system had broken down completely. A lot of the kids didn't want to go to school. They were just victims of human trafficking and irregular migration. And when we looked at the root causes, we just realized that that these kids were falling victims to traffickers and people who were deceiving them about opportunities outside because they were not properly educated, because they were not properly grounded. The school systems had failed. And so that was the motivation for us to say, what do we do to look at the basic, the foundation?
I was about to ask you, what were the key findings that you latched on to transform the education, for which you have been invited by the World Bank to talk about it?
I think key was first, how do you scale learning? How do you ensure that children who are in school at the primary school level are able to receive quality learning from from the school system? Key to quality learning are the teachers. So the first thing we did was, engage with the teachers, and not just engaging politically, engaging with them technically to try and understand how to help them teach these children better. And we found, technology. We found out that technology was the key. And so we partnered with a private sector firm, worked with the technology available to now retrain the teachers, give them handheld devices, which help them do the things they're supposed to do in class and also govern their classrooms better.
Right.
First was, what does a teacher do at the basic school level? First, he wants to ensure attendance. Secondly, you want to prepare your lesson notes. So all of these have been standardized and put on that device. It also helps me track attendance of the teachers in school, because if a teacher is not in class, the children wouldn't learn. And so with technology, I'm able to determine whether a teacher is in class, whether the pupil is in school, and whether the teacher completed their lesson notes for that day. And this is being done on scale, not just one or two schools. We have almost 300,000 children in our primary school system who are, in the EdoBEST program. And I think that is what is significant about what we're doing, that we're imparting the same quality of learning to all the children, regardless of where they are in the state. In the hard-to-reach communities and the very rural communities, we have, been able to get these same, pedagogy and curriculum to the children in those difficult terrains. And so that's why we were invited to come and explain to the world, how did you, in spite of the difficult situations you the difficult political, socio-economic situations you find in your country, how were you able to achieve this feat within the last 4 or 5 years?
Was there a measure to boost the remuneration of teachers or to encourage them? Or what did you do to encourage them to give of their best, so to speak?
I think the first thing we did was to make sure that their welfare was being taken care of. As a governor, we ensure that people, teachers, workers in the state receive their salary on time, monthly. So yes, we didn't increase their pay spectacularly, but just made sure that they got their pay regularly and on time. And then we began to, when there was no fuss, it was almost voluntary. When we wanted to start the EdoBEST program, we had run a pilot, and we made sure that that pilot was, the people who participated in the pilot were volunteer teachers. There was no compulsion to see the benefit. And once they saw the benefit, they sold the benefit to the rest of the teachers. So it was, and then those who went through that initial training, the first 2,000 of them, because now we've trained almost 16,000 of these teachers. The first 2,000 of them saw the benefit, and they were so proud of what they had accomplished. And I recall one of the teachers who went through the early training coming out and say, you know what? Don't call me a teacher, just call me a digital teacher.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you this. With the successes that have been reported in Edo State, can this be replicated in other states in Nigeria? Because as you know, there is a huge challenge of children not going to school. The federal government has expressed concern about it. Civil society groups have. So can this be replicated across Nigeria?
Certainly can be replicated. In fact, what we've seen since we implemented EdoBEST, the Rwandan government has come to understand what we've done, and they are now implementing.
In Rwanda?
In Rwanda.
Okay.
I think 1 or 2 other African countries are looking at what we've done, and we keep doing exchanging notes and having peer learnings. In Nigeria, we've had some states express, the interest and desire, particularly Lagos. I got a call from another colleague of mine a couple of weeks ago, who is going to come in the next few weeks with his team to see what we're doing. So yes, for those states that are interested in such quantum leap and such radical transformation of their school systems, we're sharing ideas with them, we're doing reviews with them, and we're very open to supporting them. And we think, it's good for most of us states.
So
not all of us.
Do you think this is sustainable? Because usually new governments come, well, you have been re-elected recently in the gubernatorial election, but is this sustainable if you were to leave office after the next 4 years? Is this sustainable?
Yes, if you have the political will, it is.
Okay.
And I believe it will be sustainable beyond me, because this is, you have a whole, you have almost more than 500,000 children who have gone through this, and the parents have seen it work. So if you had an elder kid who went through an EdoBEST program, you don't want the junior brother or sister not to. So there's going to be pressure from the parents. Secondly, we are not breaking the bank to accomplish this. We're just reprioritizing. And with the global priorities today, I believe education, there's quite a lot of pressure on politicians globally to spend more on, human capacity,
right,
education, on health. We are spending about 10% of our annual budgets on education, and I think we can, we can sustain that, we can maintain that. So I don't, I'll be very surprised if there's a rollback. The last reason why I just don't. I'm confident there won't be a rollback. And the teachers themselves, don't forget the teacher unions are very, very powerful.
Right.
They have adopted and accepted these means because they can see the outcomes. And I don't think they'll sit idle and allow any politician come in and roll back.
So far, what has been the reaction from, one, the parents, and then the students who have gone through this process?
Let me just give you a quick story. Okay. I had a parent come in very early days of EdoBEST and came in and said, she had a problem. And I asked, what was the problem? He said, look, I have 2 sons. One is 6 and one is 10. The 6-year-old is in primary 1 and the 10-year-old is in primary 4. Since you introduced EdoBEST, I found out that because the younger one is part of a pilot for EdoBEST, he's no longer socializing with his brother. Because when he gets back from school, he wants to do his homework, he wants to do his rhymes. He doesn't want to play football with the brother anymore. And so I'm getting worried. And within one term, he can read much better than his brother who is 10. And came to me and said, look, Governor, what do I do? Do I step down the brother who is 10 back to the junior class so that he can also learn to? So that story, perhaps reveal the kind of the kind of impact EdoBEST has made, even from its very early days till now. We run a couple of conferences, seminars, training workshops. We're going to be having the Education Week next in a few weeks' time, and we get these kids to participate. And without prompting, you'll be very, very amazed at the quality. Their confidence, at the quality of their thinking, it's the proof is there. And then there was a study that was carried out not too long ago, and it's been reviewed, which now has shown that kids who have gone through our EdoBEST program read 70% better than their peers who haven't gone through the same program in the country. And there are standards for testing numeracy skills and standards for testing reading skills, and the EdoBEST kids are way clearly ahead of their peers.
So let's move to your recent election. Now that you have been re-elected by the people of Edo State, what's next for you? What is the vision? How do you intend to move Edo State forward, albeit with the challenges that Nigeria as a whole face, including security or insecurity challenges and lack of funds to fund projects? What's next?
What's next? I think what's next will be gleaned from what we're doing. So what have we accomplished? In my first term, and now the first few years of my second term. First, it's about your human capacity, your people. In the area of education, you can see what we're doing with EdoBEST. In the area of healthcare, we're doing exactly the same thing, focusing on primary healthcare and making sure that we get healthcare to the mass of our people. In the area of security, we have, even if I say so, without being immodest, being able to secure Edo, relatively speaking. When you look at the incidents reports, you're not seeing the kind of frightening situation or condition I met. Kidnapping has dropped significantly. Yes, we're still having a few farmer-header clashes here and there, particularly in the dry season, but we're on top of that because we've invested heavily in security. So there's a sense of safety and security in Edo, and we're seeing quite a lot of traffic, particularly commercial traffic coming through. If you now move to the economy, because it's all about the economy.
Right.
We've done some very significant things. First, agriculture. Today, we are running one of Africa's largest agricultural programs. We're putting about 100,000 hectares of new farmland under cultivation for oil palm. And we've done the first 60,000 with about 7 large corporates. And we're about completing that. But what that does for us, we're now bringing back the culture of agriculture. And so, you're finding people using technologies now to prepare the land, to cultivate, to, review the meteorological rainfall patterns, and all the things, and also inputs for supply chain. So all the things you need to modernize agriculture, we're beginning to do using oil palm as the first point of entry. In the area of industrialization and production, that we're very excited about, because we've pushed one of the key challenges to manufacturing and production in Nigeria particularly is electricity. And what we've done is we've taken advantage as a state, we're the first state to force and partner and get partners to begin to generate electricity for our own use.
In Edo State?
In Edo State. We did a first deal, Azura, and all of that power went into the grid, and then we went back and did another deal, Osyomo. We have about 95 megawatts capacity, and all the power comes for use in the state, and that has been transformational. So, you have almost 24/7 electricity powering all government offices and government establishments.
So what is the measure to help employ the youth of Edo? Before we go, the youth of Edo, what plans do you have for them?
What we did from 2016 when I got in, we focused on youth employment and created an agency called Edo Jobs. And to date, we've been able to place over 220,000 kids or youths in various jobs. First, by training, helping them build their capacity, giving them, internships. But I think the key to job creation is boosting the economy. And that's why we're focusing on boosting the economy so that we can create the opportunities for the jobs, and then match the opportunities, the individuals with the opportunities. And if there are gaps, you then try and fill those gaps by training. So that's what Edo Jobs has done for us. To first identify these young people who need help, who need work, screen as many of them, prepare as many of them, train them in the various areas. One area we've been very successful in is in technology. So we have innovation hubs, we have partnerships with various technology companies where these kids come in, they're able to, learn also to digital software skills, and then, we find work for them. We partnered with a firm, and we're graduating our fourth cohort of, IT software engineers in Edo State. And we're looking at scaling that up significantly. So we've been able to place a lot of them in the area of technology. We've looked at services, working with, the hospitality, people in the hospitality industry to prepare and train them. We're looking at agriculture. We looked at agriculture. We placed a lot of them in. But more exciting for us has been the area, the culture and entertainment. We have, working with partners again, been able to, to train a lot of them in film, in, media, in broadcast, in media and music, and also provided facilities like this for them to do their work. So that's been, some of the initiatives we have pursued in helping create work. But all of this has to be underpinned by quality governance. The key is good governance. And for you to have good governance, you have to have an effective bureaucracy.
Right.
A bureaucracy that works, civil servants that are well trained, who can articulate policy and who can help you execute policy. And today, we have successfully turned our civil service around. We have digitized the civil service, so I can, DC, and I'm working, approving files because I'm connected to the state portal. We've continued to train and retrain. We have a whole public service academy to just train our civil servants. And also we're looking at how do we compensate and remunerate them sufficiently to motivate them. So this is all work in progress. I wouldn't say we're at the end. It's been a lot of hard work, but for us the evidence is there. So it's not about the rhetorics of we will do. We have done. You can go and review, you can go and see it. And then the issue is how do we sustain and scale what we're doing? And then lastly, infrastructure, roads, it's commonplace. We don't even talk about it. You just go out there and build it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.